Welcome back. Thanks for checking out this channel once again. In this video, we're going to talk to you about our latest opportunity that we have in Calgary for investors. And just like all of our other opportunities, these things come and they go very quickly. So this latest one is called Cavallo Condos. It's by Truman Homes. The usual package that we have just got such amazing feedback from our investors on. We continue to offer this. We don't know how much longer this is going to go, but once again, 10% deposit. We have a 2-year rental guarantee. These units are pre-construction with 2025 completion, and the units are absolutely amazingly priced, starting from the high 200s. There's no unit in the 400,000. Everything is in the 200s and 300,000s. Just phenomenal prices and a great investment. We're going to talk about that more in a moment. But first, I want to ask you a question. And that question is, why are you still working? Do you actually need to work? Or could you actually achieve financial freedom through real estate investing? Well, I think if you're like a lot of people, everything that's happened in the world over the past couple of years has really got you asking this question of yourself, like a lot of people, and you're wondering, what's important in your life? What do you actually want to do with your life? Where do you see yourself long term? Do you want to keep doing what you're doing in your career and your job, whatever it is, for the next 10, 20, 30 years? Or do you want maybe a little bit of a different life? Well, only you can answer that decision, but I just want to point out the fact that you can actually retire yourself through real estate investing. And you don't have to be a real estate mogul. You don't have to buy 20, 30, 40 properties. You don't have to be a multimillionaire to be able to achieve this. You don't have to wait decades either for this to actually be possible. And I want to tell you about this concept that I call 5 to freedom. And the basic idea is that you only need 5 properties. You just need 5 starter homes or condos in Canadian cities. And through that, you can achieve financial freedom, financial independence. You can quit your job. You can retire yourself if you want to, if that's a goal that you have. And you can do that in just a few years if you're following this simple formula. You really don't need to be a big mogul. You don't need to be a multimillionaire. It's possible with just buying 5 properties. So what you do, and what so many of our clients are doing, is you buy 5 starter condos or homes in Canadian cities. Somewhere in the $300,000 to $500,000 range is ideal for this to work best. And what do you do next? You simply sit on those properties, you rent them out, you let them pay for themselves, and you do nothing. You just wait. You resist the urge to sell any of these properties, and you just let them appreciate, and you let your tenants pay down your mortgage, and you build equity. After about 5 years or so, you begin the process of refinancing. So you take equity out of those properties. I like to talk about it in terms of the tree metaphor. So think of these 5 properties as like your freedom tree. That is the ticket to your freedom is this tree. So as a tree grows and matures, it just becomes more and more beautiful. You don't want to do, again, is you don't want to chop down a tree before it's time. You let a tree grow and mature into a fully grown and fully mature tree. But what you do is after a few years, you begin to just sort of prune the tree and take a little bit off the tree, and that's what you're using to pay yourself. How much do you pay yourself? Well, it really depends, but you follow this formula, as I suggest, of buying 5 properties, starter properties, condos and homes in Canadian cities, then you can pay yourself, say, $100,000 a year very easily. You can pull that off. Some people are pulling out a lot more than that. If you choose to do that, you can. But even if it's just as simple as $100,000 a year, for most people, like if I said, hey, would you like a pension that pays you $100,000 a year? They say, yeah, that's fantastic. I could live off that. Most people, it's a great lifestyle. But what's really amazing about this concept of refinancing, and it's something that again and again, when I explain this to people, the light bulb had that light bulb moment where the light bulb goes off and people are like, whoa, like this is extremely powerful. I didn't know this. And I want you to listen carefully here, is that money that you take out from your property and you pay yourself with is tax-free. That's right. It's tax-free money. So that $100,000 that you get, it's equivalent to as if you're earning a salary in a job of $145,000. Okay. So again, I think most people would probably agree if you had a salary, a pension of $145,000, because you are taxed on pension money, of course, it's income. If you had a pension that was paying you $145,000 a year, would you quit your job and take that and retire yourself? If somebody offered you $145,000 for the rest of your life, yeah, I mean, I think 9 out of 10 people probably would take that deal, right? So that's the beauty and the magic of real estate investing. You don't need to be a mogul with 20, 30, 40, 100 properties. You can do this with 5, and you can start doing this if you want to in as little as 5 years' time. So once you have your 5 properties and you've got that freedom tree, you can start trimming it after just 5 years if you want to, and exit the system. Now, of course, there's more details that we can go into, and if you're interested in learning more about this 5 to freedom concept, if you're watching on YouTube, you can leave a comment in the comments below and say 5 to freedom or something like that. And if we get enough interest, certainly I'll do a more in-depth video of examples of how this could actually play out in specific detail. But hopefully you found that concept and that idea useful to you. Let's jump into the video. So again, if those of you who don't know me, perhaps watching this video, I'm a realtor with RE/MAX here in Toronto. I've been selling real estate since 2007, almost 15 years now. Doing this, working with investors. I'm one of the top 100 RE/MAX agents in Canada. I've helped well over 1,000 condo investors in the market, and including over 300 now in Calgary itself. I've personally bought several units, 3 so far in Calgary, and I'm sure I'll be buying more in 2022. So if you're watching this video, you're probably watching this in Ontario, in the Toronto area. Toronto's a great place to invest, and that's where most of my portfolio is, and where I cut my teeth as an investor, and where most of my clients have invested as well. But there's a couple problems with Toronto right now. It's a great city to invest, but a couple of issues. Number one is cash flow. You cannot find cash flowing properties in Toronto. It doesn't exist. Even if you're getting a multifamily units, you can't get positive cash flow in Toronto, or really anywhere in Ontario pretty much anymore, because prices have risen so much while rents have not kept up. And affordability, of course, prices have gone up so much that for many people it's just, going back to the 5 to freedom concept, if you're trying to get your 5 and the average price is $1 million, you're never going to get your 5. So you start to see what's happening here. So we start to look at, there's other cities in Canada. There's other great places where we can invest. So we look at what are the other 4 largest cities in Canada. We have Toronto, we have Montreal, we have Vancouver, and number 4, we have Calgary. So Montreal is a great city as well. Montreal was a great place to invest about 3 years ago. If we would have been having this conversation, I would have said, yeah, Montreal is severely underpriced compared to Toronto and Vancouver. It's a great place to be. And that's what a lot of other investors realize as well. The prices in Montreal have shot up, and the rents are not, it's not a high rent city either. So Montreal is a tough one now. It's almost as expensive as Toronto. Vancouver, of course, is Toronto on steroids. We're always a few years behind Vancouver in terms of pricing in Toronto, and the prices there are just, again, like if you can't afford Toronto, you definitely can't afford Vancouver. So that leaves us with number 4, Calgary, number 4 city in Canada. Calgary, one of these things is not like the others. It's a very different ball game in the city of Calgary, dramatically different. So I like to say this is Calgary's time. If you look at what's happened, look at the the prices of all the Canadian cities over the last 7 years or so. And you see Toronto shot up, Vancouver shot up, Ottawa, Montreal, put those on, they also shot up. So every city has had its moment of, explosion and astronomical growth. But we started to notice that something's going on in Calgary, and Calgary is still unbelievably affordable city compared to any other city in Canada. So just sheer gravity tells you that this trend cannot keep up. The pendulum has swung so far the one way that it has to come back, and Calgary is just ridiculously priced compared to every other major city in Canada. And really, if you take a global perspective, it's ridiculously priced compared to every other major city in the Western world. So that brings us to why Calgary. Well, again, it's 50 to 70% cheaper than Toronto. You can get positive cash flow in Calgary, even on single condo units, let alone, we're not even talking about duplexes, triplexes, this kind of thing. Calgary is ranked the fifth most livable city in the world. You can have a great quality of life in Calgary for a very low price. It has a growing population. Calgary, although it's had its economic struggles in the past few years, and we'll get into that, the population continues to grow. And that's an amazing thing. That's what we want to see as investors. So many cities that are cheap cities are cheap because people are leaving. The population is shrinking. Calgary, the population is continuing to grow despite its economic situation over the past few years. Calgary has the youngest population of any city in Canada. It has the highest average incomes in Canada. Also, the highest number of millionaires are per capita in Calgary in Canada. And it's got in terms of the Alberta, it has the highest projected GDP growth of all the provinces in Canada. So you layer onto that some of the bonuses, as I call them. You have no land transfer tax in Calgary. You have no HST in Calgary. You have no foreign buyer tax in Calgary. You have no rent control. And you have essentially no closing costs at all. The differences between investing in Calgary and Toronto or Vancouver, just from a purely financial perspective, are staggering. It makes it an extremely attractive city. Again, you layer on that, they have some of the cheapest prices with the highest incomes. It's just an incredible place to invest, an opportunity to invest. Let's take a look at what the numbers a little bit. So new condo launch prices. Some of these projects are already launched in early 2022. Some of these are upcoming that we know of that will be launching. These are new condo projects, pre-construction condo projects. So downtown Toronto, you're looking at about $1,700 a square foot, of course. Could be much higher. Some are well over $2,000 a square foot. Getting a little bit outside the prime downtown into some of the other areas like Queen West, you're looking at around $1,300 a square foot. North York, kind of end of the subway line kind of thing, $1,300 a square foot. Scarborough, we had one recently, $1,100 a square foot. Pickering, Durham region is now hitting $1,000 a square foot. Hamilton, Barrie, Beaumont, you get it. The prices are extremely high, right? And then we have Calgary, right? Calgary is, I used to say, Calgary's half the price of Toronto. And now I say, Calgary is half the price of Barrie, pretty much. Like it's, the difference is staggering. It's the fourth biggest city in Canada. So, this project here, $430 or so a square foot. Some of the units are less. Parking is included in that price. It's only 10% deposit. It's not going to be built for 3 years. And on top of that, you get 2-year rental guarantee, which is giving you positive cash flow. Again, this is why we call them no-brainers, right? So we're going to dive into the numbers and the stats a little bit more to talk about the Calgary market specifically. So those of you who like numbers, you're going to like this. So let's talk about sales. What's been the story? Where's the Calgary market been and where are we now? So the last boom time in Calgary, 2011 to 2014, we had sales rising higher and higher in those years. And then oil price collapsed end of 2014. That caused a recession in Alberta, as you probably know. So the recession lasted for about it lasted for about 4 years. It was starting to come out of it, and then COVID hit, and we got hammered again. So that's what those years look like. You see sales down from the previous peak. And then, well, what happened in 2021? We had a fantastic year in Calgary, and congrats to everybody who's invested already with us there. You've done very well already. So that's a good thing. The market has clearly turned around in 2021, as we were calling for, even as late as late 2019, we were saying this was about to happen. So congrats to everybody who's been riding with us as we go. Let's talk about prices. So this is going back about 20 years now. So the blue lines on this chart are the price increases or decreases year over year, and the green line is the actual trend line of average prices in Calgary. So again, you had another boom time in 2005, 2007, huge numbers. Prices went up 45% one year. And then you had the Great Recession, financial crisis 2008. Then you had another boom time as we came out of that in Calgary. Not as big as the previous one, but still a nice run there. And then you had the oil price collapse late 2014. Followed by, again, you had 5-6 years of recession in Alberta and Calgary. And then 2021 and where we are sort of today. What's interesting is that the prices today, as you can see, because of this recessionary period over the last number of years, the prices today in 2022 are only slightly higher than they were in 2014. So it's almost like you're getting in a time machine, Marty McFly style, and hopping back in time and buying at 2014 prices in Calgary. Imagine you could buy in Toronto at 2014 prices, or Vancouver, right? Obviously, in Calgary, you can actually do that. People are doing that. So this is a rare opportunity. Let's talk about supply. So here is the months of supply of the Calgary real estate market, 2016 to 2021. What do we see in the middle of 2020 happening? We see a huge drop in the months of supply. So supply began to go down, which is exactly what we want to see as real estate investors. Talking about prices, the change in prices. So if you look at that median line there, if the red line is below the mean line, that means prices were falling. If it's above, that means prices are rising, right? So you can see that prices were falling again for most of the last 5-6 years after that recession, after that oil price collapse. But again, 2021 was the takeoff year where things really began to fly. And we're seeing that absolutely continuing in 2022. Which brings us to, again, this opportunity that we have right now. Cavallo Condos by Truman Homes. Again, 10% deposit, 2-year rental guarantee, 2025 completion, and prices in the 200s. Again, we've done a number of these opportunities. If you've seen these other videos, you know. Frontier Condos sold out. Savannah Condos sold out. East Hills Condos sold out. We've done many, many more, which I won't get into here. Every single one sells out very quickly. These are not huge 600, 700 unit buildings like Toronto. These are, for the most part, about 200 units is typically what these buildings are, and they always sell out quick. So jump on this one. Don't wait. The secret is out. Every time we do this, there's a growing interest in Calgary and investing here. So the competition is getting hotter and hotter and hotter to actually buy units in Calgary. It's crazy to believe, like 2-3 years ago, nobody wanted to buy a condo in Calgary, and now the market is red hot. Let's talk about the builder briefly. Why Truman Homes? Truman Homes is probably the biggest builder in Calgary. We've been working with these guys on a number of projects. Fantastic builder. I personally invested with Truman myself. They've been around for about 40 years. They built thousands of homes and condo. Great builder to be investing with. Let's look at the numbers in more detail. Again, comparing an entry-level condo or something you could buy in Toronto. If you're lucky, if you're one of the, if out of the 1,000 people who submit a worksheet, if you're the one who's picked for the cheapest unit in the building, $650,000, what you're going to get, on average right now, probably even higher than this, but around $1,400 a square foot. And, you do the math, and unfortunately, again, unless rents rise dramatically over the next few years, which hopefully they're going to go up, but they'd have to go up, this much to be able to break even. You're looking at, $700-800 a month negative cash flow based on today's prices and today's rents, versus in Calgary, you can, for $350,000, forget about a 1-bedroom, no parking. You get a 2-bedroom plus den, including parking, with a 2-year rental guarantee, only 10% deposit. It's not going to be built for 3 years. Positive cash flow, a couple $100 a month, way less money to actually acquire the unit and the assets. So, the Cavallo is this is exactly what you want to put into your five to freedom portfolio. This is exactly the type of unit that we're talking about, to just hold on and rent this unit out and sit on it for a long, long, long time. Let's talk about immigration a little bit here. So there's the immigration in Canada, the numbers from the last 150 years. And then at the far right, you can see the projected immigration over the next couple of years. And as you probably have heard, we're looking at record high, century high numbers for immigration in this country. And obviously the question, what is that going to do to real estate prices? You're looking at, adding between 2021 and 2023, we're now in 2022, so about 400,000, these are already in, but 1.2 million new people coming to Canada in a 3-year period is what's projected as a minimum. The number just seems to keep going up all the time with the current Liberal government and their mandates. But what I want to ask you is, where do you think, if you're a new immigrant coming to this country and you look across the cities of the country, where to go, and you see prices in Toronto and Vancouver, and then you see prices in Calgary, where do you think more and more people are going to end up? Obviously, Vancouver and Toronto will continue to be taking the lion's share of the new immigrant population, but it just stands to the basic logic that more and more new immigrants coming into the country will look at Calgary and say, yeah, I can buy a house in 6 months. If I go to Toronto or Vancouver, it might take me 6 years to buy a house if I'm lucky, or just never, right? And let's talk about, how about inflation? Let's get into inflation a little bit. Inflation, a very hot topic as we are starting out 2022. Cost of everything is going up. Again, everything that's happened over the past couple of years, a number of reasons for that. But what I want to point out to you as real estate investors is take note of this fact that the headline here says that mortgage costs are less than the rate of inflation for the first time in 40 years. Okay, this is a once-in-a-lifetime event where mortgage costs are less than inflation. So, we talk about, inflation is a killer. It's a killer. If you are not in the investor class already, inflation is going to destroy you. I hate to say it. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. If you are a member of the investor class, if you own assets, particularly real estate, inflation is a benefit to you. Another headline, you probably see a lot of headlines like this: how buying a house can hedge against inflation. It's not specifically buying a house, but taking on debt at 1.5% when inflation is 6% is an absolute no-brainer. This is the best time in history from that perspective to take on as much debt as you possibly can qualify for. And again, don't buy a Lamborghini with that debt. Don't buy a yacht. Buy assets. Buy real estate, specifically cash flowing real estate. Get your 5 done now while money is so cheap. This is the time to do it. It's an absolutely incredible historic time. So we'll probably do more videos on that. Again, if you're interested in me maybe doing a video just about inflation and talking about that whole concept and the importance of investing and how to do that, you can just leave a comment or something in this video if you're watching on YouTube. All right, so just to sort of summarize what this is, what is this opportunity? This is a classic buy low market opportunity in Calgary. Yes, prices have come up over the past year, and 2021 was a great year for Calgary real estate, but the opportunity is still immense. We still see tremendous growth happening in 2022. And the gap, again, between Calgary and every other city is so big still. It's a low risk, high ROI potential opportunity. This is turnkey. Again, rental guarantee, set it and forget it. It's not going to be done until 2025. Then you have a 2-year rental guarantee. So you don't have to think about this investment till at least 2027 before you even have to think about it. Makes it a great first step for new investors. If you're just starting out on your path to 5 to freedom, this can be a great number 1 or number 1 and 2. A lot of people buying 2-3 units in this project and projects that we've done before. Experienced investors, maybe you've already got your 5. This is maybe number 6 or 7 or 8 or 9. It's a great one to add to the mix as well, especially if you're exposed to a lot of negative cash flow in Toronto. This is a great offset as well to give you some positive cash flow in your portfolio as well. And got to emphasize, this is a long-term hold. You know, Calgary's doing great and things are looking up, and you know, we hope that things will turn out as good in Calgary as they have been in terms of price appreciation in the other cities in Canada. There's a good chance that may happen in the next few years, but we're not counting on that. We're sticking with the fundamentals of positive cash flowing properties that are easy to rent out, that are affordable to buy. They're great first time starter homes and condos is what we're buying. And they're long-term holds that, you know, we'd be happy to keep these things for 20, 30 years, no problem. What this opportunity is not, again, this is not for, if you're thinking about is get rich quick opportunity, a quick flip, buy it today and sell it, you know, in 6 months or a year and make a profit, this kind of thing. No, like this is not for you. This is not it. We're also not buying into a crazy seller's market, although the market has again heated up quite a bit. This is not, we're not expecting where you buy today for a price and then tomorrow you expect the price to be $50,000, $100,000 higher. We're not doing that, expecting that here. So there you have it. Cavallo Condos by Truman Homes. For more information, there you go, truecondos.com/Cavallo Condos. There's going to be a link in the description of this video if you're on YouTube for that. You can call us, text us anytime, 647-371-0110. Thank you very much for your time, your attention. I hope you found this video useful to you. And until next time, happy investing.